Hello, everyone. So, this is a new thing for me, making a video post. However, I've been recording a lot of videos for a class I'm teaching, and I want to break myself of certain habits. I also have whatever comes before carpal tunnel, like proto-carpal tunnel. I've been doing a lot of writing, a lot of written yapping, so this is what you're getting for this one. This came to mind to me earlier today because I finally got around to a certain essay that I will cite momentarily. I wanted to talk about the old social media feminist debate about cookies versus no cookies for men. Do men get some chocolate chip cookies for doing housework or not? Because, yes, cookie discourse is housework discourse, and that's back in everybody's minds apparently. And by everybody, I do mean people with exactly the same concerns as me, except for ones who are married, have actual reason to be concerned about it. Okay, so the essay that brought this to mind is the one by Darby Saxby recently. I'm just pulling that up at Natal Gazing, her newsletter slash blog, whatever you want to call it. I call mine a blog. I feel like that's derogatory. Okay, so I'm going to quote the conclusion of this piece by Saxby, and then I will get into the meat and potatoes of cookies. So this is quoting Saxby. Perhaps there's a better, simpler explanation for gender disparities in the division of household labor that doesn't require us to damn women with faint praise. Men don't want to do housework. It's boring, repetitive, low status, and does not bring them success within a domain they consider valuable. Skipping ahead a little bit. Housework is a female coded activity in a culture that devalues femininity. Of course, men want to steer clear of it. Women may not be naturally all that more motivated to do housework, but men are definitely motivated to avoid it. Okay, that will be in the show notes or whatever as a citation. That's Darby Saxby's article. Um, this is the root of the cookie discourse, and the cookie discourse is long past, basically. So I'll have to describe what I'm talking about. So, toward the end of Facebook's, I guess it's still alive, toward the end of its actual life rather than zombie life, the main reason to still be on there was for groups. And for me, that meant the very fun, very mean shaming groups. Those were like ring shaming, nail shaming, Disney adult shaming. They were very fun in a very like sick way. And there were also a bunch of feminist groups. And these feminist groups were more oriented around venting than around like actual feminist theory. So that you weren't going to go on there and get a lot of discussion of, I don't know, Judith Butler and Mary Daly. Why would one discuss both of them? Whatever. You weren't going to hear either of them discussed. It was mostly just venting a lot by married women or divorced women or just general misandrists like I was at the time. If you've read anything on here by me, you know that I used to be a powerhouse misandrist. What's done is done. It's in the past. Uh, so one of the debates across these groups, but especially in ones focused on like the bar for men being low, especially for husbands, one of the debates was how to get men to do housework. And they definitely operated on the presupposition of what Saxby more like academically worked through, which is that men aren't, you know, naturally incapable of doing housework. So they start from there and they're like, why are they not doing more housework? Also, personal hygiene played in. I'm not sure how realistic a side of the debate that was. There were a lot of posts about how, like, apparently, allegedly, not really, but allegedly, a large number of men don't wash their butts in the shower for fear of becoming gay. I don't think that happens very very much in real life, but that was part of the cookie discourse was this personal hygiene. But I'll focus more on the housework side of it. So the cookie thing is when a man does a piece of housework that you want him to do you reward him for it in some way or do you not? And the rewards were usually kind of the reward side of it was banned. The cookie side was kind of not really taken seriously. And there would often be examples posted of like really far out there things of like, if he does three, items of housework this week, he gets this sexual favor. And it's like nobody's doing that. But that was taken as sort of pick me-ish if you rewarded him for doing housework. The non cookie side of it was like, well, this is supposed to be normalized. How are you normalizing it if you're rewarding it? Like you're treating it like special behavior when you're trying to make it normal behavior. So those were the sides. Give a cookie for doing housework or not give a cookie for doing housework. I think the whole framework's very dehumanizing, but these were misandrist groups. So we're just going to talk about it. Just keep in mind, I am well aware that this is a misandrist sort of way of thinking about things, and I don't approve of it anymore. Um, so I wanted to talk a little bit about how this ends up overlapping with the Evo Psych manosphere perspective, but that's more on the cookie side of it. Let's start on the no cookie side of it. So the no cookie stance is that, let's just take unloading the dishwasher as an example. Like if a guy unloads the dishwasher, you shouldn't really acknowledge it because it's just supposed to be normal behavior. And I guess the idea is that like he's been scolded for it, therefore normal is kind of the like non-cookie rather than anti-cookie. I don't know how it's going to encourage the behavior, but I get the point of like if this is normal, treat it like normal. The issue to me is that you don't have to give a cookie or not give a cookie. Like that's a little bit strange. And so the non-cookie side, like I don't know, I live with a roommate and we kind of naturally alternate on unloading the dishwasher. Like that's not really a problem for us to do chore wise. And we certainly aren't giving one another cookies for it. That would be strange. Um like there's something other than cookies. It's just we say, "Oh, you just unloaded the dishwasher. Thank you." Like there are normal ways to indicate that you are grateful that someone did something. It's not like somebody does a tiny favor for you and you're just like, "Here's a snickerdoodle." Uh, you can just say a basic thank you. That's just kind of being polite. But I think in the misandrist group, the goal was actually to be kind of rude. Like, "Oh, you finally did that. Okay." Um, it was not really encouraged to say basic things like thank you. Also, if anybody does want to give me snickerdoodles at random, please do. I will eat this. So, switching over to the cookies side, which is ostensibly the misogynist or like the pick me side. Like the you're taking it so easy on men, you're rewarding them for doing stuff that women don't get awarded for, whatever, which would be kind of real, whatever. But again, one doesn't in adult life typically give cookies or no cookies. It's not that kind of thing. Anyway, but the giving cookie side, the idea would be who's the guy with the dogs? Pavlov? I think Pavlov. Um, you can you can tell I'm not writing this, so I didn't even look up who did the dog thing. But yeah, the goal was this sort of behaviorist like condition the guy to associate housework with good things, whether those were sexual favors or just like profuse praise, like he's a little boy or something. And what's interesting to me about this was taken as the like overly pro male perspective. But if you think about it, it's also misandrist in the same way that the Evo Psych crypto manosphere thing is, which is to say, boys are being boys. They evolved to be this way. So they just haven't been trained. Therefore, I will train him with a cookie. How are you supposed to be mad at a guy, though, if he evolved that way? Like, that slides back into the manosphere, like, not a masculinity is just kind of normal. Anything toxic about it is just like a necessary element of Darwin, which is also nonsense. But the sort of allegedly pick Misha behavior on the cookie side is basically the same thing. So I don't understand. I mean, it's not like, yeah, it's also misandrist, but it's also excusing the behavior. It's also manosphere thought. Like it's complicated, but it clearly ends up back around to the like men are just being men. In this case, one can train them out of it. Which sounds even grosser to say than it did in my head when I was thinking about talking about this. Uh, but yeah, so from somebody who is not remotely married, here's some unrequested advice from somebody you should never ask for advice. Just like people are people and they kind of do people things. I don't know. If they like cookies, maybe the choice is whether or not to associate it with when they've done the dishes. But that's basically the only relevant question to me. Um, and obviously, if you love one another, make one another the types of cookies they like. I think that's the real cookies or no cookies question. Make cookies they like and are not allergic to. So that's all I have to say on cookies. You are so welcome. Also, you're seeing me on the recent-ish Zoom set, which I guess is a year old at this point, so maybe it's not really recent, but I'm at the center of the universe, right where I belong. Toodles.